WRVS 89.9, your community voice and home of Cheryl Underwood Radio, tonight and every weeknight at 10. Clay Mercer here with you, fourth Wednesday of the month, and it's time for Conversations with the Chancellor. And on the phone with me, I have the pleasure of speaking with the Chancellor of Elizabeth City State University, Dr. Karrie Dixon. Chancellor Dixon, welcome to your show.
Thank you so much, Clay. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's difficult times here in Elizabeth City and just kind of pretty much everywhere around the country. So we're going to kind of delve into what's taking place here in our own community. And obviously, we have to start with the recent changes to ECSU operations. And, you know, the deputy-related shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. has affected members of our community personally and professionally. And although the shooting did not take place here on the campus, nor did it involve really anyone from the Viking family, the impact has been felt by many here at the university. There were several occurrences back on Monday that caused the university to transition to remote learning for the remainder of the semester. Tell us more about the factors that went into that decision.
Definitely. I have to agree with you. It is truly a difficult time right now. And, we extend our thoughts and prayers to the Brown family and to everyone who has this situation has impacted in some way or another. As I mentioned, I believe on the last show, we have at least two alums who are related in some way to the Brown family. So we definitely extend our condolences to them as well as part of the Viking family. But, you know, this is really a situation that has hit all of us really hard. And, you know, we've seen it happen across our country, unfortunately, more than it ever should. And now it's right here in our backyard. So, we have been looking to our city officials and some of the information that they have been providing us to make the best decision for our campus community in wake of this tragedy that has happened right here in our city. I'm very happy that I have such great colleagues in Elizabeth City, Jack Bagwell, president of the College of the Albemarle, and John Maurice, president of Mid-Atlantic Christian University, also known as MACU. We have worked closely. We have talked and are still talking at least 4 or 5 times a day. And we are taking a unified approach to this situation to keep our campus community safe. As things play out and as information continues to be provided, we are making the best decisions that we can from the information that we have at the time. Late Sunday evening, we received some information in regards to the incident and additional information that would be coming out this week. We did not get any, of course, intel into the information that was coming out this week, other than to have been told that there will be information coming out this week, and that is in regards to an autopsy, search warrant language, as well as the possibility of the body cam footage being shown to the family and maybe being made public. So, we don't have any details other than that. The main thing is, doing all we can to help our law enforcement here. We've had some peaceful protests since last Wednesday when this tragedy occurred. Those protests have been peaceful because our law enforcement have come together to help the citizens of Elizabeth City and those who have traveled here to protest safely and to exercise their First Amendment rights. And though it has definitely provided, some issues within the city as far as traffic and other things, we've not had any active violence yet, and we don't want to see that if at all possible. So allowing people to protest in a peaceful way is something that I've seen the city be committed to doing, and I think that has helped this situation tremendously. What occurred on Sunday, the information we got telling us that there's more to come this week, prompted us to go ahead and make some decisions about the university schedule. for this week. And we are at ECSU in the last week of classes. Classes end on April 30th, which is this Friday. And, I had to make a decision based on the information I had at the time that when these other documents and footage is released this week, it's probably best that we have the least amount of people on the roads so that our law enforcement can do their job and do it very diligently without having to deal with traffic and a lot of people being on the roads here in the city, so that the protesters can continue to exercise their First Amendment rights in wake of this tragedy that has occurred in our city. And so in thinking about that, we decided to pivot to remote learning for our students for this week, being the last week of classes in the semester, and teleworking for our employees. What was important for me, as well as my colleagues at MACU and COA, was for us to do all we can to help our law enforcement keep things peaceful in our city. And getting our students moved out and moving to remote was the best option that we had to do that, so that we don't have as many people on the roads and being challenged with the protests moving around the city. It was best for us just to move and pivot to this new model and actually I can't even say new, because it's the same model we had when we had to pivot to COVID, and we had to do so around this time last year. And so we've done this before. Our faculty was supportive. Our students were disappointed. Yes, they were disappointed. This is the last week of class, and they wanted to stay. But making decisions based on the data that you have at the time is what makes leaders able to lead, and to lead in the right way, and that's by making those tough decisions. And when you have to make those tough decisions, you have to go with what you know at that particular time. So we alerted our students late Sunday night that we will be pivoting, and that students will be asked to go ahead and move home before Tuesday noon. That's our effort, or our way in assuring that they have time to get home and get in their space, so that they can finish out the semester strong. And these, decisions are never easy, but they do come with a lot of reason behind making some of these decisions that we've had to make over the last year. This time last year, pivoting to online and teleworking for COVID, and now this year dealing with what we are seeing as this tragic situation has played out in regards to the death of Andrew Brown. And so we are doing what we can to do so. And I'm just happy that the higher education institutions, the leadership here in Elizabeth City, as well as our partnership with K-12 and with the NEAT school and law enforcement and other public service folks in this area, we've been able to stand on one accord and try to be unified in how we are conducting our operations going forward, and especially this week. And we will reassess next week to see how things play out and any impact that it may have on graduation. We will reassess at the end of the week. And so we'll know more soon. I know it may be a few unanswered questions, but we can only provide insight on what we know. And I've been very transparent, and I still will continue to be. And as the information comes to us, we will act accordingly.
Conversations with the Chancellor. Yours truly, Clay Mercer, here with ECSU Chancellor Dr. Karrie Dixon. And Chancellor, throughout the years that you've had as Chancellor, you really have never operated under a state of emergency. So I'm sure this has been a really, really tough time for you. How difficult has it been for you and the rest of the ECSU administration and leadership?
Well, I can say, yes, we've never, in my tenure, which has been 3 years, we have not encountered a state of emergency. However, in the first 2 years of my tenure, we had 2 major hurricanes, and, we've had to evacuate campus under that emergency evacuation plan. And then last year, we've had to pivot to online instruction, as I said, due to COVID, due to a pandemic. So I can honestly say my time at Elizabeth City State University has been very exciting, never a dull moment. But I have a great team around me. I have great people on this campus, as well as our student leaders, our faculty leaders, our staff Senate leaders, those who, and our alumni who care so much about this university and its success. And I really do appreciate having them to help us through and be supportive of the decisions I've had to make in regards to these things that have occurred that we just have no control over. We just never, we can't anticipate these things. We have to deal with them as they happen. And unfortunately, with the death of Andrew Brown, this is something that, we have to acknowledge that this is real. It's happening in our country. It's happening across right here in Elizabeth City. And, we have to recognize that, acknowledge that, and justice has to be put in place for, once the facts are out and, we're able to take it forward, that justice is served. And so when you think about those things, as a community, I do believe that Elizabeth City can come together and is coming together and should come together and stand for what's right. And in doing so, we all love this city, and we want to see things done the proper way and everyone treated equally. And we have to move away from the double standard. If we're really going to push that we want peace in our community, in our world, in our country, that it's going to take advocating for that and really standing strong and making sure that people recognize that, there is a double standard, and we have to acknowledge that and move forward together.
Conversations with the Chancellor here on WRVS 89.9, and I want to keep the focus on the university as we continue to prepare for the fall 2021 semester coming up. And it's a semester that will see the university hopefully return to normal operations. Chancellor, you seem pretty confident that the students and faculty can return to in-person activities and learning. Well, what are you seeing that makes you so confident that we can return to normal in the fall?
So we're going off of what we're hearing from the CDC. You all may have also heard from Governor Roy Cooper that he's anticipating lifting restrictions June 1. And so in thinking about that, we're planning to have fall 21 look very similar to fall 19. We still will likely have masks being required. We may do something a little different with the social distancing piece as far as within the classroom and spaces on campus. But we really look to the CDC and look to DHHS to provide those guidelines and to, of course, adhere to any executive order that the governor puts in place. But, again, our priority is going to be our student safety first and minimizing the spread of COVID. And the reality is COVID's not going to go away. It's just that more people are being vaccinated. And then also we're anticipating that the more people who receive the vaccine, the more we will be able to minimize the spread. And so that's what we're planning for. We are going to be offering all of our in-person classes as we have, so we'll be to capacity for that. And we're expecting a nice, number of students, a larger freshman class coming in, and so we're excited about that. And I think we have to get back to some normalcy in our lives, and especially in the lives of our students, because they've missed out on a lot with the pandemic. And we had to do these things because we had to be cautious. We want of course to save lives and not have the death toll as far as COVID-related deaths continue to increase. And we just have to look out for one another. So we're going to still build this culture of expectation that we hold everyone accountable. We hold each other accountable for minimizing the spread of COVID. But I look forward to bringing some of our activities back on campus. I look forward to bringing back our competitive sports on campus. We have our football schedule out there. We're got some exciting games coming for our basketball season and some of our other sports, bowling and volleyball, and we're playing softball now. And so getting back to some normalcy, I think, is going to help the student experience a lot. And I just hope we're able to do so. Now, if something changes during the summer, where there is a spike in the number of COVID cases, then, yeah, we may have to pivot back to online and teleworking. It's just the reality of the world in which we live in now. And I've been very clear with my campus community that if we see those spikes and if it's recommended, we will pivot if we have to. But as far as I know now, we are planning for a fall 21 that looks very similar to fall 19, but of course keeping in place some of our COVID restrictions that we have all become very used to now. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to proceed in that manner.
Clay Mercer here with ECSU Chancellor Dr. Karrie Dixon, conversations with the Chancellor. And, ECSU has continued to flourish throughout this pandemic, and we're excited about some good news here about the new partnership between the university and United Airlines. Aviation students will receive support and training to become United Airlines pilots. Chancellor, this seems to be a win-win partnership for everyone involved.
Yeah, it definitely is a win-win partnership. I'm excited about this partnership with United Airlines. When I started here in Elizabeth City State, I said one goal that I had was to get our foot in the door with a major commercial airline, and that has come to fruition. So I'm excited to partner with United Airlines Aviate Pilot Recruitment Program. And it's basically a very strong program that prepares the next generation of airline pilots. And we are very interested in moving forward with this partnership because United Airlines has a history already with working with two other HBCUs, Delaware State and Hampton University. So they came to us. They were very excited about what they've seen and heard about the quality education we were providing our students in the aviation area. And so they announced that as part of this partnership that they plan to hire and train new pilots. So when our students go through this program, the likelihood of them being hired by United Airlines is very strong. And the airline says that 50% of its hiring goal will include women and people of color. And so very exciting to hear about that as well. And so over the next decade, United has said that they want to train 5,000 pilots who will be guaranteed a job with United. And the FAA chose ECSU to be the university in North Carolina to have aviation science because they knew that there was going to be an influx of retirement across the country in the airline industry, specifically the commercial flights. And so having a partnership with United Airlines and their Aviate program really prepares us to build and strengthen that pipeline of our students who graduated from ECSU going on to be pilots at United Airlines. So, Clay, when I say this is huge, it is huge, and we are excited about this partnership and the access to the careers that our students are going to have when they graduate from ECSU.
Sounds good. And Chancellor, the aviation program and many other departments here at ECSU could see an influx of more out-of-state students real soon, thanks to the recent UNC System Board of Governors approval to raise the cap on out-of-state freshman undergraduate students from 18% to 25%. Chancellor, if you could, help us understand the significance of that cap raise.
So it's a big deal for Elizabeth City State University, and myself and the 4 other chancellors that lead HBCUs here in North Carolina, we came together and we submitted a request to the system office president, Peter Hans, as well as to the Board of Governors, asking for some flexibility around increasing the 18% to 25%. And why that's important, the 18% was put into policy so that the seats at the public university would go to North Carolinians first, the citizens of North Carolina first. So it limited the number of students we could accept from out of state, and that's why that 18% is there, because we can only accept 18% of our freshman class can be out of state. What we're seeing here at ECSU, because we are what's considered a border campus, we are on the border of Virginia. And we have seen a significant number of students who are interested in ECSU and attending and enrolling at ECSU. And so we don't want to close the door to those students who want to come into our state to be students at Elizabeth City State University. And what we have found is when they come into the state, they are likely to stay, and that adds to our economic or our economy here in the state of North Carolina as well. And so what we have seen over the last few years since I've been here is that ECSU has exceeded the 18% cap. A lot of that could be driven by NC Promise because of the affordability that we are offering for out-of-state students, as well as at $2,500 per semester for out-of-state student tuition. And so that's driving a lot of that as well. And we're seeing more interest in our out-of-state students coming to ECSU for that reason, and also for the reason that they see ECSU providing a quality education and wanting to attend a university that's a part of the University of North Carolina system, the UNC system. And so I went before the board a couple of years ago, asked for a 2-year pilot. We exceeded the 18%. And instead of, and the pilot ended this year. So the policy says if you extend over the 18%, you'll be financially penalized. And so we decided to go forth and say, can we have this leeway, this flexibility? Because one thing about Elizabeth City State University, we are not going to give up any seat that a North Carolinian should be sitting in if they meet the admissions requirements. So it's not a capacity issue for us. And so we're growing back into our campus, and we are accepting every single North Carolinian that meets our admission requirements. So it's not a conflict for us because the out-of-state students, we have a lot of flexibility for allowing more of them in as well without it being an issue of turning North Carolinians away. So if there was any opposition that came forth, it was more about are you giving seats to out-of-state students that North Carolinians should be sitting in? And from our perspective at ECSU, looking at our data, looking at our recruitment, the answer is no, we are not. We are accepting every single North Carolinian who meets our admissions requirements, and we still have room. So for us, it's a great scenario to be put in because we can still grow. We're going back into our campus, and we're seeing this growth, and it's actually doing a great deal of positioning us in a very positive and beneficial way financially also. And so the Board of Governors did approve for us to move from 18% to 25% out-of-state students, and we're already trending in that way. And so I'm excited that the interest from out-of-state students is still there. And we are going to stick to the expectation that we are not giving away seats that North Carolinians should be sitting in. We are accepting every North Carolinian that meets our minimum admissions requirements. And so we have plenty of room to grow. We want to continue to grow. It's in our strategic plan as one of our goals enrollment growth, and so this just definitely positions us well to continue to see those increases.
That is outstanding news, and if you want to see more about this story, you can find the newsroom, the ECSU newsroom, online at newsroom.ecsu.edu. We've come to the end here of Conversations with the Chancellor, but as always, near the end, I turn my microphone off and allow the Chancellor to give you listeners a few remarks. So, Chancellor, take it away.
I just want to thank all of you for your continued support of Elizabeth City State University. I know we are going through some unprecedented times. I know that there are many who are listening, who are angry, sad, who just want to cry. It's okay. It's okay to have those emotions. It's okay to reflect and process what's happening around all of us. And it's not always good, as we have seen, especially what has occurred here in our community on last Wednesday. It's very difficult, but I think what really helps us all is when we come together, we support one another, even if we have to cry on a shoulder and keep your mask on, but it's still okay for you to do that. And so I say that to say, we as an institution, we cannot do it alone. The community can't do it alone. We have to come together. We have to support one another. And I'm just so grateful for the support the university has received, both on the local level, the state level, with our advocates in Washington, D.C. It's a great time and a great day for ECSU. And I said as I started here that I'm focused on building the foundation for the future of this great institution for generations to come. And so I'm very happy that that's coming to fruition, and I want that to continue. And I just thank you all for supporting and loving Elizabeth City State University as much as I do. Thank you so much.
Good way to end this episode of Conversations with the Chancellor. Listeners, don't forget, if you missed any part of today's show or you want to catch up on previous shows, you could go to the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel as well as our Facebook and catch up on as much as you want. So, Chancellor, again, thank you so much for providing our listeners with this information. Be safe, and I'm sure we'll catch up again next month with more updates.
Definitely. Thank you, Clay.
All right, listeners, more of your music is on the way. Plus, I'm going to let you know how you can support this radio station just by sending a text. All of that's coming up here on Afternoon Delight Radio Show.